the Orion Ascent Conference in sunny Arizona. Not Arizona. Where am I? I've been doing this for 2 days straight. Where am I today? Wait, it's Thursday. It must be San Diego.
Yes.
Okay. We are in San Diego, and I am here with Paige Johnson, who is the Director of Strategic Partnerships, which is hard to all get out after 2 days of doing these back to back.
Especially when you don't know what city you're in.
Exactly right. That tells you how much I've been broadcasting here, and this light is just blinding me. And we have all kinds of stuff going around here, so you are a real pro to be able to handle all this, Paige. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's so great being here. It's been a great event. Thank you to Orion for throwing a great party.
Absolutely.
We've seen a lot of old friends and new friends. It's been a great week.
Absolutely.
A long week, but great week.
So now Paige and I, we've been talking a little bit off camera. So as you know, we talk about going RIA.
Yes.
So our entire purpose is to help educate advisors looking to go to the promised land.
Yes.
The RIA space, freedom, independence, which is great.
Yeah.
But with that comes some effort, of course. And you
Yeah.
need to do things like your own compliance. You need to build your technology stack
Yes.
and so on and so forth. Now, technology is something I love talking about.
Yes.
And when advisors are building their tech stack, oftentimes, us included, will consider their CRM their core hub.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that a little bit. That's your core expertise
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
So everyone knows Salesforce. They're kind of the 800-pound gorilla and then some in the CRM space. But what I found when I was looking at CRMs like a Salesforce, they are so big, unless you're a monster company, it's really hard to deal with them directly. So there are, and this is a very good thing, intermediaries,
Yes.
AKA overlays, but not always an overlay.
Yeah.
And I just came to learn that.
Yeah.
So why don't you walk the audience through the idea of accessing Salesforce through like a buffer
Yes.
and the different buffers, I guess, overlay versus not an overlay.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy to do that. And you're right. I mean, I think we all agree that Salesforce is it's powerful. It can do so many things. What we've found, what I think a lot of people, the conversations we've had even at this event this week, a lot of firms find it's a lot. It's so much, right? So I'll what I think would be helpful is to explain the difference between if I go to Salesforce Direct and I go that path versus some of the intermediaries as you refer to it. So I'll start with the most complicated. If I go to Salesforce Direct and I buy Salesforce, I'm buying the platform, by the engine. I will buy something from their client 360 product fields with a cloud. It could be sales cloud, marketing cloud, financial services cloud if you're in this industry.
Just in case the noise canceling on these microphones are not up to snuff and you hear what sounds to be a machine gun back there, they're breaking down the conference. We're kind of closing up the shop here, as I said. So hopefully you're not hearing all of that. But if you do hear that,
we're safe.
No need. Everything is cool.
We're safe.
Not a mass shooter event here.
It's just a drill.
Exactly. Okay, please continue.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So you have your Salesforce platform. You've got a cloud that sits on top of that provides some of the functionality you might need within your industry. Then you're gonna have to have the consultant, right? So we at Practifi, we say it's like buying a Ferrari from IKEA. It's a whole lot,
Right.
And then you have a little Allen key. You got to fix it, but you have to work with a consultant. Consultants are great. You know, they're wonderful at what they do, but that can be a long engagement. It can be very expensive, and then you might buy a software that sits on top of your Salesforce org. To help you with your integrations, with those workflows, these things that maybe aren't just out of the box with your financial services cloud. So it's like a layer cake of complexity. You've got your platform, just as a recap, you got your platform, you got your cloud, you got the overlay, and you got a consultant. So that's four different moving parts, and that's a lot.
Right.
And so you have the other version, the other option, which was Practifi. We're an OEM Salesforce partner. And we've recognized...
What does OEM stand for?
Oh, gosh. Original equipment...
Manufacturer?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to think of car parts.
Yes.
When I think of OEM, I think of OEM car parts. Versus an ISV partner, which would be an independent software vendor. And that's what the overlay is, right?
Yes.
So there will be a quiz. I know it gets complicated. Take notes. But with an OEM partner, we've recognized that that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. So at Practifi, we take that, we call it the chassis or the engine, the Salesforce platform, and then we have built a product entirely on top of the Salesforce platform. And and made the customizations and built out the workflows and the data model that are very significant and helpful to the people in the wealth management industry, without using one of the clouds, without using Sales Cloud or Financial Services Cloud. And what that's done is it's eliminated a lot of the noise, right? So one of the most important things, spoiler alert, you don't ever have to work with Salesforce Direct. And Salesforce, again, is great, but when you buy Practifi, you get the Salesforce license. Think of us as a wholesaler,
Yep.
and then you get the product on top of that. It makes it much simpler, and that the implementation is done by our team. There's no consultant, so it's a simpler process.
Right. And I think that's important to know. So years ago, under the category of biting off more than I could chew, I went directly to Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just impossible.
Yeah.
And we're not a huge firm now. We were really not a huge firm 7 years ago.
Right.
And when you go direct to Salesforce, you're kind of a meaningless client. If you're coming in with 5, 10, even 15 users, even 100 users, you're not really moving the needle too much for Benioff, right?
Yeah.
Over at Salesforce.
Yeah.
And that's reasonable. It's a huge company. So to your point, and I think this is really important for the audience to understand that, if you are going to go with the Salesforce, and I think the Salesforce engine is a very good one.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Somehow, some way, unless you're a monster-sized firm, you're going to need some help, whether it's an OEM, an overlay, or a consultant. But that's all you want to think about when you're making that choice with Salesforce. Now, that said, of course, there's more than one way to do this. There are a lot of other vendors out there. So, like with anything with technology, you have to shop around and see what's out there and what is the best fit for you. Yeah. And it's hard to say there's any one that is the best. Yeah. There's certainly a small group of ones that you really probably want to limit yourself to. Yeah. I would say Practifi is certainly one of those.
Thank you.
We've looked at it. But you want to shop around and see what's going to be the best fit for you. And another good thing to do, and I've always really encouraged people to do this, is to talk to other advisors that are
absolutely.
using it. And see how they're using it and try to find an advisor that's similar to how you're going to run your business.
Oh, yeah.
And then talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and Chuck, we find there are kind of two different camps. There are people, well, maybe they don't have a CRM at all, so they're looking. Mm-hmm. And congratulations, your firm has grown. You're tired of doing all of your business out of a spreadsheet or your Outlook calendar or whatever. But so you're buying the CRM the first time, or there are others that are seeking a better CRM. Right. Oftentimes, firms have a CRM and maybe they outgrow it. It doesn't have the robust workflows that they need, or maybe it's not configurable. Their CRM does not scale. Right? There's nothing wrong with a smaller CRM unless your firm kind of outgrows it. Right?
That's right.
And then there are, and we've spoken with a number of people here, getting back to the Salesforce thing, that it's just, there are just so many cooks in the kitchen, and there are so many. A woman today, she described it as having a number of subcontractors that have done all this work in the home, and you peel back the wall, and you can't even make sense of it anymore. Yes. And I think that's something that a lot of people that use Salesforce directly have experienced.
Yeah, I think that's a very common story, in fact.
Yeah.
And so to kind of wrap things up here, we would be remiss if we're talking about technology and we don't talk about integrations.
Yes.
So if you could speak to that some, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're looking for your CRM and making that decision, you want to have a CRM that is configurable, scalable, again, so you don't outgrow it in a few years when your firm grows. And ideally it will have those integrations with the tech tools that you use every single day, and not just like, you want depth in those integrations. You want the integrations that are that are meaningful. They can pull in the data. They help you in your day-to-day processes, any number of things. But it's important to have a CRM that is adaptable and integratable with any number of tech firms.
That's probably a good place to wrap up for today.
I believe so. And
all right.
yeah. And thank you everyone for enduring all the noise.
Yeah, we'll see soon how well these microphones worked out. But if not, you know what that noise was.
Yeah.
So Paige Johnson from Practifi, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining. And we have about 2 more of these to go. One here and one really fun one later tonight, which will be close to 10 o'clock Eastern time. That's going to be the wrap-up block party.
Oh, right.
And I'll be doing that with Natalie Wolfson, the CEO of Orion.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So late night on goRIA. Stay tuned for that. And thanks for joining us.
Excellent.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Paige.